Today you'll see some really nice vests. This vest is fully lined, but I've made one that's sneaky and is simplified, unlined. Super, super cute. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and I have some vests to share with you. Super, super cute. Now this is a garment I've been loving since the 90s and I'm all in. I love that you can make them out of a small piece of fabric, and the shape is really, really classic. And this is a brand new pattern from Love Notions called Opus Vest. If you watched the previous episode on the channel, I dove a little deeper into the fitting process for this one, especially with vertical proportions, bust heights, waist heights, general lengths. So if you've missed out, I think it would be really helpful to fit this type of vest. It's not just about the Opus vest, it's a nice refresher on vertical proportions for any fitted style. It is quite shaped, it's semi-fitted, it's got princess seams in the front and the back. It's completely lined, it's got two lengths. The longer version is 4 inches longer, that's the version I'm sewing. It ends up sort of at the mid hip and a little higher on the back, but I think it matches my proportions better. The method to fully line this is super interesting. I'm going to show you how to do that. There's fake welt pockets on the front that are super easy to sew, and on the back there's these little straps with a button. It's got a facing on the inside, the front and the back, and the lining pieces. I think it's super nice. Light to medium weight woven fabrics, and maybe I would say a heavier fabric would be okay. I would consider sizing up if you're going to use a heavier fabric, but I think the ones that mesh well with this lining method are the light to medium weight fabrics, like 100% linen cotton blend, linen rayon blend, chambray, cotton twill, a really lightweight denim, although you're going to see that I'm not lining my denim version. Tencel twill would be amazing. Rayon linen blend would be amazing. I think a wool suiting that's medium weight would be okay. It's lined. Now I would stay away from 100% rayon. Maybe even rayon twill would be too light for this. If I was working with a lighter fabric, I would go full on with more interfacing. For the lining fabric, you need something lightweight. I think rayon is excellent for lining. That is my favorite fabric. Now you have those poly satins. I used to use those quite a lot in the past, but since I got to Brazil, I find the fabric is so hot to wear. I'm dying in there, so I don't use that type of fabric anymore. I'm also not able to use silk. I can't in good conscience spend that much money on silk and have it hidden inside a garment. I just can't do it. So I'm never going to line with silk, although, you could. So I think rayon is amazing. I also love cotton lawn for lining. I think it's really nice and soft. So it's up to you. Just make sure it's something lighter than your main. You need some interfacing, you need some buttons. Let me show you my fabric choices. I filmed them for you. I remember to do that before cutting them up. Check out this denim fabric. It's so pretty. I love the tone of blue. It's got a slight sheen to it. It's very lightweight. If you can see, it's not heavy at all. And this is going to be perfect for my unlined version. Because it's unlined, I'm going to be binding some facings. I've got this beautiful old shirt from my husband, old Levi's shirt, and it's perfect. I've already cut it up and I'm going to make bias tape out of this. Check out this linen rayon blend, linen 55%, rayon 45%. Amazing. This vest is going to be so nice. I love the neutral tones in here and the discreet little print. The wrong side is nice and white, so you're going to really be able to see what's going on in the tutorial. And what I'm using for lining is this rayon fabric. It's really nice, very light, very transparent, beigey color. It's going to match the vest and it's not going to contrast the vest too much. So I'm really happy with these fabric choices. Because the Opus vest is brand new at Love Notions, it's 20% off through next Monday, the 3rd of November. So if you like it, it's always nice to grab it for a little bit less. I will leave you my affiliate link at the top of the comment section, pinned, so you can find it super easy. If you click on it, it'll take you directly to the website. If you do end up purchasing through my affiliate link, you don't pay anything extra. It just means I get a small commission back from Tammy, who owns and designs at Love Notions. It's one of the ways I make an income creating helpful content here on YouTube, full of practical visuals and tips. And you can watch all of this without any cost. If you use my link, I'm mega grateful. Sizing extra small to 5X, up to a 59.5-inch hip. You have the standard bust and the full bust option, but Love Notions has a 4-inch cutoff. So you measure your high bust and your full bust. 4 is the one that you need to use the full bust or more. So I have a 3-inch difference, so I just use the regular bust option here. About the ease, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches around the bust, depends if you do the full bust or the standard bust option. Remember, the full bust option gives you more ease around the bust, the waist, and the hips. This one doesn't reach the full hip. It goes up on the high hip around there. You're going to have about 5 to 7 inches of ease around the waist and the hips. You should be able to wear a really light layer underneath. The neckline of this vest is high enough that you can wear it without anything underneath. I love that because that is my favorite way to wear a vest. Now, in the previous episode, you saw my fitting, my process, my 2 test garments, one not wearable, just to check, the second one wearable. I think it would really, really help you see what this process could be like. The only fitting adjustment I needed was to lower the bust curve here on the princess seam 1 inch, lower the waistline because it was too high for me by 1¼ inches. And then because I wanted to keep the original-ish length, I took away some length below here, 3/4 inch. So I think it turned out very good, very proportional to me. The circumferences were always okay. So it was a really fun process, and I hope you take advantage of the previous episode so you can see how that was done. Now I'm going to show you the sewing. Super interesting. I'm doing a little bit of extra interfacing just because I prefer that, and for my fabric choice, I think it's adequate. So I'll show you the different things that I'm doing that are sort of extra to the tutorial in the next segment. The method is different. I'm sure you haven't seen it before, but you're going to see it makes total sense and it makes the process super easy. These are the pieces I want to interface for my Opus vest. I'm interfacing a lot more. It's just the way I like it, especially with linen. Maybe if it was denim or something else, like a cotton twill, I wouldn't interface that much, but for linen, I'm happy. This is the back facing for the inner layer, so this vest is lined. So this one you 100% need to interface. Little piece for the fake welt pocket, the back straps over there. As you see, I already have a piece of fabric that's interfaced slightly larger than my pattern piece, and then I'm going to trim, that's block fusing. Now, what I'm doing different is for the front, I'm going to interface everything. So this is my main front. This is going to be my inner front or slash facing. I want to interface the whole thing. I'm concerned about so many diagonal cut lines here. These shapes, I don't want them to stretch out, which can happen with this type of fabric. So I'm going to just go ahead and interface everything. So I'm going extra with interfacing here. I've also cut my pieces larger. I've got them interfaced, and I'm just going to trim them out. In the tutorial for these front pieces, you would only interface the center areas, but I would go ahead and interface these sections as well if I wasn't interfacing the whole thing. So those are just things that are not going to change much how it looks. It won't change the sewing either. It's just more interfacing. I like interfacing. So I'm going to take my sweet time to just cut all these pieces out. And as usual, block fusing makes a huge difference, gives me a lot of peace of mind that the pieces will stay in the shape they have to. They're not going to shrink or change shape. So I've got one cut out. I'm going to take my pattern piece, put it right there and cut the same thing. One's going to be for the main layer. The other one's going to be like a facing. It's going to be on the inside, but it's the same pattern piece. I'm going to finish trimming those as well. These are the main pieces for the Opus vest. This is the front. I've decided to interface the whole thing just because I'm working with linen. If it was a different fabric, the instructions say just to interface this area. Other than that, I would still interface this area as well because of the slanted shapes so that they don't lose their shape. That's just extra interfacing I like to do. Side front over here. Back is on the fold, and that's the side back right there. Across the back, we're going to have a little strap around the waist area, and that's that piece. And on the front here, we're going to have a fake welt pocket, 2 little rectangles. I initially had cut them out of the main fabric, but then I decided to cut them again in black linen so that they can contrast and you could see them. Otherwise, those little details would be completely lost. You wouldn't see them, and I think it's going to look cute with those pieces in black. These small pieces are interfaced as well. Here are the pieces for the lining, the inner layer of the Opus vest. I've got the main fabric here. It's interfaced completely. That's something I decided to do. Side front over here, back on the fold, side back over here. This is a separate piece for the lining compared to the main piece because this here is smaller. It's because we're going to have that back facing there, complete the whole back. This one and this one, you use the same pattern pieces for the lining and the main. I've chosen this rayon. It's a little textured. It's really, really light. I like how it feels against the skin. That's what's going to be touching me on the inside. and you can see that it's going to match my main fabric. Even though my pieces are interfaced, I'm going to go the extra mile and stay stitch anyway. Slanted, it's almost bias cut, so I'm doing this as a regular stitch length, just under 3/8 seam allowance, and I'm going from the shoulder into the center on the front neckline. The back neckline is on the fold, and I'm also going to stay stitch this one from the shoulder into the center, then flipping the fabric from the shoulder into the center again to keep it symmetrical. Because this vest is sleeveless, I'm going to go ahead and stay stitch the armholes as well. These are partial because there's princess seams on the front and the back. Lots of little seams here from the shoulder down to the side seam. For the lining techniques, there's always quite a bit of manipulation. So I don't want to just leave the armholes there with the potential that they could stretch out and deform. For the center front, I'm also going to stay stitch this V shape that we have at the bottom. All the stay stitching you're watching me do now, I'm going to repeat with the lining pieces. My lining is a rayon. It can really stretch out if I don't do anything to it. So I don't just want to leave it. This is the side front, princess seam at the bottom. It's got a slant. I'm also going to stay stitch that. Now we're going to sew some princess seams. This is the main front that I have right here. Center front, side front. There's a notch right here that matches your bust height, and then one below that is at the waist. So those are matching right there. I always like to sew princess seams with the center on the top touching the presser foot and the side at the bottom touching the feed dogs, because this is the side that's curved. It's the one that has the potential to stretch out as well, and you might need to ease it in a little bit. So that's where the feed dogs help right there. So if you want to try it, I think you'd have a nicer experience rather than sewing it the other way. Now, one thing when you're pinning, you need to make the seam lines match here on the point, on the extremes. So the seam allowance is 3/8 and they match. But you can see the side front here is hanging off by a tad. But once you sew it, the armhole will be continuous there. Same at the bottom. You're going to have a little tag left over from the back. But at the seam line, it's going to end up straight. So let's get these sewn. I've got 2 of these, and then I have the exact same things for the lining layer inside. That's how it looks like. It's super neat. Over here, we don't have any pockets like that. The feed dogs did amazingly. It's not that this is longer, it's just a shape. They're so different, you're trying to mold them together. After sewing this one, I'm going to sew the other one, and then we're going to head over to the iron and press the seam open. We don't need to serge because this is going to be a fully lined garment. Here on the center front, a little below where this notch is at the bust height, I'm going to do a few snips just to relieve the tension here. Just on this side, just on the center front. And then when you open it up, it's not going to pull. You don't need to do that on this other side. You can see that when I separate the seams, this opens up a little bit. So those little snips are going to help it lie really smooth. It's not going to start forming holes. Remember, this is a seam that's going to be protected by the lining later. This over here is my lining layer. I've got this center front, that's the same main fabric interface completely, and my lining fabric over here. I also have the stay stitching around the armholes, and at the bottom with the hem shape, I've got it pinned the exact same way, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Here I have a whole bunch of little rectangles, super easy. These are the back straps. So just fold them lengthwise, right sides together, and we're going to sew one short end and then one long end. Leave one open for both. After sewing that, we're going to flip them. I know it's not going to be the easiest thing, especially with this fabric. These are the fake welt pockets. This is much easier. All you have to do is fold it lengthwise as well and just sew the short ends right here, 3/8 seam allowance, and then flip them. Magically, all the little seams are done. Super easy. This is the easiest one to do, so I'm going to get this out of the way. You just flip it, make sure the corners are nice and pointy, press it, and then this raw edge, we're going to serge right there. Voila, super neat. This is going to be the fake welt pocket. We're going to set it aside. Okay, there we have it. One done. It'll look nicer when it's pressed. So remember, the pencil is really easy. Just take this one that's already sewn, and just create yourself like a dent here with your fingers. And that's where you put your pencil and you start pushing it down. Remember, I'm using the round part of the pencil. I don't want this pointy bit because I don't want to poke a hole here. And there we have it. I'm top stitching these straps with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but you could use a smaller seam allowance. You could just edge stitch if you want. Okay, here we have the back. The center is on the fold, and then we have the side back pieces. I've pinned them the same way as the front, only the curve is less pronounced over here, so it's easier. I still have a little tag hanging off here so that the seam line, they match. At the bottom, it's even, so that's no worries. And then right here, we have 2 notches that marks the height of the waist, and that's where the straps need to be. So I'm just going to take out one of those pins and just slide this into that area. I'm going to center my strap right there where those marks are. So now that we have them there, we can go ahead and sew these princess seams. Do the same thing that we did with the front. Press the seam open, and then this is what it's going to look like on the other side. From the seam, this is coming over like that, and we're going to have our button right there. So from the seam, further this way around the bottom part, you're going to see a dot here and a dot there. I've got them marked there and there, but I need to see them from the other side. So I'm going to poke a pin so I can see the pin from the other side. And this is the reference to sewing the welt pockets that are fake. I know you can't see them, but I can really see the pins coming out. So that's where they are. Where you have the notch of the waist, it's about 2 inches further down, so it's not exactly at the waist. So I'm going to take one of these fake welt pockets. Remember, it's already serged, and I'm going to align them right there where the pins are. The serged edge up this way and the folded edge down towards the hem. And I'm just going to pin them in place. This is so easy. It's not a real pocket, so it's just a little flap you're sewing. I'm going to take these pins I'd put at the back. And now we're going to sew this. You can use a 3/8 seam allowance. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch just because it's less bulky. So there it is, serged edge right here. It's just a little flap, and now that it's sewn there, we just flip it up like this, give it a good press, and then we're going to edge stitch there, and that's it. That's the fake welt pocket. It looks pretty realistic. It even has that little opening there, but there's no pocket. Easiest fake welt pocket ever. This is the lining layer for the back. Now you can see that we have this facing piece that matches this part of the back. That's why the lining for the back was a different pattern piece, because it was smaller in this area. So I've got it pinned. I've got pinned the princess seams. There's no little strap to put in between, so these are super simple. But this one can be a little fiddly to pin. The way I did it was put the facing on top, matched up the centers. Then I matched up here, and then I went filling in the gaps right there. It fits all 1-to-1. It's all super neat. I also stay stitched this area because it could also stretch out. And now when I sew these two together, I'm going to sew with the facing on top, touching the presser foot, and the lining material touching the feed dogs. Quite a big curve. I'm super happy with the 3/8 seam allowance for this. It's doable. If it was a larger seam allowance, then I wouldn't be too happy. Now we're going to start lining the vest. We have all the pieces assembled, front, backs, and all of that. So here are the fronts. This is the lining layer, obviously. We have the lining fabric here. Just place it right sides up. Got both of them. And now take your main layers and align them right sides together, right here, right on top. We're going to sew almost all the edges together, minus the sides and the shoulders. So we're going to sew the armhole here, the bottom, right here, this slanted edge, this one there, and the center and the neckline. So I'm just going to align everything, pin it, make sure it's all nice and neat. And we're going to sew all the way around 3/8 seam allowance, minus the sides, minus the shoulders. Here I'm sewing all the layers that I mentioned. I'm sewing first the neckline, and then I'm sewing the center front, which is pretty straight. Then at the bottom comes the little V sections. You can see I'm not pivoting. I'm finishing each seam and starting again so I can have an intersection of seam allowances. Then I sew the bottom, that's the hem part. skip the side, and then finish off with the armhole. There is my armhole. This is the only one where you need to snip because it's all curved. All the others were pretty straight, so no need to snip. I'm not going to trim away seam allowance. I think 3/8 is okay. I did trim off these little tags that were hanging off here on the armholes so that they're nice and smooth. And I'm going to repeat all of this with the other side. I've turned this right sides out, and now I'm going to go in through where I can. Remember, we have all this access, and I'm going to understitch as much as I can. So I'm going to be pushing the seam allowance towards the inner layer and sewing on the edge. I'm not going to go through the corners, but as much as possible everywhere. After sorting out the front pieces, I have them here already. I've brought the back and I've placed it here right sides up. And now we're going to put these on top, right sides together. Now, the back piece is going to be larger because we've already taken out the seam allowances for the front. So on the shoulders, we're going to have 3/8 hanging off here, there, right here as well. So in general, you're going to have 3/8 hanging off everywhere. So I'm going to fiddle with that, pin it super nicely so that we have the correct seam allowances hanging off from the back. And then we're going to sew the sides and we're going to sew the shoulders, but it's going to be a basting stitch because then we have the lining layer of the back. Once we sew that layer in, I'm going to do the definite stitch at 3/8. Okay, this is the back, the main back, and I have the front on top. You can see that this is smaller. So there's 3/8 hanging off here, 3/8 hanging off there. You can see the layers. It doesn't help that it's the same prints, but basically the back is bigger by 3/8 right here at the shoulders. Also here on the sides. This is really easy to see. There is the top of my piece, 3/8 hanging off right there. And at the bottom of the sides, it's the same. That's how it's supposed to be. So I'm going to sew shoulders and side seams with a basting stitch, and I'm doing smaller than 3/8 seam allowance. So just slightly longer stitch length to have less thread in there, just to keep the layers together. Okay, we've done these basting stitches. Basically, the front and the back are right sides together, both main pieces. What's missing is the lining for the back. Here it is. And we're going to throw it on top, wrong sides up, like this. If we move the front out of the way here, we would have the lining right side touching the right side of the back here. So make sure you have all your ugly seams here visible, your facing, your stitching, all of that. And now we're going to align the same shoulder seams, side seams and armholes, and we're going to sew all of this together in the same order. This front, we're going to fold it up out of the way because the hem of the front is finished but not the back. And we're going to align the hem right here of the back. We're going to leave a gap here so that we can turn it right sides out through there. So we're basically lining this up, side seams, armholes, shoulders, neckline, just keeping the front tucked in out of the way. I've taken the time to pin everything, make sure the front stays in there, you don't catch anything, especially on the sides, because we have all the raw edges to sew. Shoulders, armholes, sides, everything, even the bottom. Just make sure that the front stays tucked in there and we're not going to catch anything. So I think this is going to take a little while to do nice and neatly. It's a lot of seams here, goes all the way around. I'm going to start from the bottom. Remember, we're leaving a gap in the center of the bottom so that we can turn it right sides out through there. And then that's going to be folded up and hand stitched closed later. Okay, remember we were just sewing 2 layers here. We're just sewing the backs, the main and the lining of the back, with the front tucked in there, poking it out of the way. So the only place we were sewing all the layers was on the sides and on the shoulders. But this front should be enclosed and free in there. Took a little while, but that's okay. Now before we flip it the other way, I'm going to snip around this back armhole just to relieve the tension here. It's all curved. I'm also going to snip around the neckline, the back neckline, also super curved. So then we're going to flip these right sides out through that bottom opening, and it'll take a while to tidy everything up to get it all looking neat, and we're going to press it. So I left this nice opening here at the bottom. So this is where we're just going to gently push it all out. And then it's all going to be lined. Look at the shoulder seams, the armholes, it's all lined, all very nice, but we still need to press it. So that's how the vest looks like. It's all enclosed, necklines, armholes, everything. So nice. It's just that we have this area right here. We just need to fold it up by 3/8 on both layers and then slip stitch. And that's it for the main steps. Then you have your buttonholes right here. Couple of buttonholes, sew in your buttons, and you're done. I had already sewn the button here. So that's something that you could have done afterwards or now or before. So I'm going to play with this and press it, hand sew that, and that's basically it. Ta-da! I love it so much. I love this print. Check it out. It's so, so nice. Very neutral. Absolutely love it. It's so stable inside with the 2 layers of interfacing for the main and the inner layer here. Check out my beautiful lining. It's a rayon that's got some texture in it. You can see it's almost transparent. Very nice, very appropriate for this. And it just looks so neat on the inside. There's a little piece down here that was finished by hand at the very end. My little ties at the back with a button. The buttons, oh my gosh, I'm so happy with my buttons. They're those buttons that are made out of shells, so they're all slightly different. They're not all exactly the same. They have different tones and colors. I think it matches this type of design beautifully. I still have like 5 left. I'm so happy. I get to use them for something else. And I had been hoarding those buttons for a long time. Now the understitching took ages. You can actually only understitch the front armhole. Just the way that we bag it out at the end, you don't really have access to the back armhole. So I just made sure to roll it in with my hands so that you don't see this lining when I'm wearing it. That's why I wouldn't go ahead and use a lining that's very, very contrasting to the main fabric. I chose something that was going to match. In case there's a little peep of lining, it's not going to be noticeable. Same as at the hem. Now, one thing I say about this lining method, I think it's great for lighter or medium weight fabrics like this, but for a heavier fabric, I wouldn't want to have all these seam allowances together like this with this method. The seams, the side seams are all together here for the main and the lining because we sewed them all together at the end. So if I wanted to do this in a wool suiting or something heavier, I would do a more traditional method, just a little bit different to line where the side seams would be loose in there. But for this, it turned out perfect, and I hope the visuals here in the tutorial were helpful. A little sneaky welt pocket is not actually a welt pocket, but it looks like it. And I did it black so that you could see it, because with this print, it would have just got lost in there. So let's see this one on. Check out my gorgeous first Opus vest. I have the longer version here. There's a shorter version that's about 4 inches shorter than this one. I sewed a size large with the standard bust. I lowered the princess seam curve by 1 inch and added a little bit of length above the waist notches just to match my vertical proportions. I've used a linen rayon blend with a really nice print. I've left some details black so that you can see them, like the fake welt pockets and the back straps. And you're going to see up closer, it's got a V neckline, it's finished with a facing on the inside, it's fully lined, the hem is slightly curved at the back, shorter at the back, longer in the front, of course, as a classic vest would. And I've got it paired with a Sibu Illusion skirt. Check out the neckline, Lovely buttons, great armhole coverage. This is great to wear on its own or with a light layer underneath. It's really hot while I'm filming this, so I'm styling it summer style, but I could wear a fitted turtleneck underneath if I wanted to. I've interfaced my vest a little bit more just because of my fabric choice. I'm very happy with the technique. The way that you bag it out and line it on the inside is very interesting, so give it a go. And this is amazing. I'm gonna really enjoy it. You're gonna see it styled open in the next couple of clips, but for now here I'm just wearing it with my undergarment. I don't plan to wear open in this little look right here. So happy with this. This is a casual style. This is a denim skirt in a beige tone. I've got comfy sandals with a block heel. This is more casual than the previous look. I have a cami tucked in there. Black goes really well with the black details of the vest. And I have a very discreet skin color rayon under there. Nothing special with the lining fabric. I really didn't want it to contrast my main fabric. I'm so happy with this vest. I can wear it open or closed. Can be casual, I could dress it up, and this is a middle ground in terms of dressing it up or dressing it down. I feel amazing like this. This style is classic and you can have a lot of fun with the styling. Now I've got it paired with pull-up Allegro pants. These are in a denim in a caramel tone, so refashion that I did. I've got sneakers that sort of match my vest in the colors. Really casual, really nice. Again, the same black cami tucked in under there and the vest is open. I love this outfit so much. I love the colors. You know, it's not too flashy, it's more neutral. And I just really love this vest so much. It's just so pretty. I'm so happy with it. Check out this cool winter look. I have a long skirt with a slit in gorgeous stretch velvet material, very nice, cozy. These caramel leather boots. I kid you not, I've had them since 2004. More than 20 years, amazing quality. So nice. Super fitted top, that's sort of a performance top. It's flannel backed inside and really thin, so it's perfect. Doesn't take up much of the ease inside the vest. Very happy with this. I would definitely wear this for winter. You know, the winter here isn't too terrible, so I wouldn't really need a jacket on top. This would be it. I love how this looks. Got a few buttons done. I would probably wear it unbuttoned if I was wearing with a layer underneath. It would just be more comfortable, more free, but I could button up if I wanted to. Because this vest is semi-fitted and shorter, especially shorter at the back, I think it looks great with a pair of wide leg pants. So this is perfect. Sort of looks a little bit like a maxi skirt, but it's just really comfy pull-on linen pants. I could have made these a little longer when I made them, but yeah, they're on the cusp of being a little short for me, but they're still great for the summer. I love them with the Opus Vest. For my second vest, I used denim. If you watched the previous episode all about fitting a garment like this, you would have seen that this was a wearable test garment. So you would have seen it on wrong sides out with the seams and everything. And I'd always planned to make that one a simplified version that wasn't lined. You know, denim for me can be a hot-ish fabric, and I live in Brazil, it gets pretty hot. So I didn't want to line a denim vest. That's just something personal, and I thought I could finish it in different ways. I always knew I was going to keep the facings, just change them a little bit. I like to use my husband's old shirts as binding. When you buy good quality things, they tend to last, and I just cut up one of his Levi's shirts that he wore probably for like 12, 13 years. You know, when the collar gets worn and things like that, I'm not happy giving away stuff that is not in great condition. Although the fabric, the body of the shirt is perfect, I can cut little strips of binding and make my own bias tape, so I love that. I use the bias tape maker that says 18 on the back, so you get one that's about 3/4 of an inch with both folds there. And then I have enough to bind the armholes. I don't need to line or anything, and I can bind the edges of the facing. So let me show you a little bit about the simplified process, super easy. This is my simplified version of the Opus. It's denim. It's a fabric that's pretty hot to wear. I wouldn't want to line it if I want to wear it in the summer. So I'm going to make one that's unlined, and it's going to make it simple in some ways. I've got all the same pattern pieces. These are the back pieces. The front over here, I didn't interface it like I did the linen one. So this is my main center front. I did put the stay tape right here, fused it on to make this super stable so it doesn't deform.
same as the neckline there. And then for my inner layer, that's going to be my facing. I did interface that one completely. This is going to be covering this whole section on the inside, and I'm not going to have lining. So I have my side front over here. Everything's the same, the fit, the size, all the same. My facing for the back, my strap, my fake welt pocket, and for the armholes, I'm going to do binding. I'm going to see if I have enough to bind the edges of the facings as well on the inside. I think that's going to look cute. This is the facing. You can see that it's smaller on the back. It's because it's supposed to have the lining piece here that would complete the shoulder, but we're not doing that for this one. So I just cut it normal, knowing I was going to have to alter this. So you can see the seam, and I've got that left over. I don't want to have 2 layers on my armhole. That's going to be bulky. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim that away like that and just make it smaller. So that's how my facing's going to look. It's still going to look nice on the inside. I made lots of bias tape. I decided to wrap the edge of the facing around. It's going to look super nice from the inside while also protecting the edges. Remember, this is an unlined version. So I'm still using the facing to finish off the neckline, but I'm not going to have the lining pieces attached here. Something else I'm doing differently with this one is to serge all the edges. With the lined version, we just left them raw and pressed them open. With this one, I'm not pressing the seams open for the princess seams. So on the back, I'm pressing them towards the side over here. For the princess seams on the front, I'm pressing them towards the center right there. Super nice. I've already gone ahead and serged the bottom. Not from the very tip here, but halfway, because this is going to be covered by the facing later. So we want to do that so that when we need to hem, this edge has already been finished right there. With this simplified version, we've got shoulder seams sewn, everything sewn, typical construction, and then the facing on top continuously. With the other version, we did the back, we did the front separately, but this time is just pretty straightforward. So I've got the facing on top. I'm going to start here. There. That's going to close off the bottom, and then my hem's going to come from behind it. Remember, I've got extra stay tape there because I wanted this to stay intact and not stretch out. And so it's super easy. I'm just going to go ahead and sew that 3/8 seam allowance all the way around, snip here where I need to, flip to the other side.
Here is my gorgeous Opus Vest in denim. It's such a nice fabric. When I found it, I went ahead and bought about 5 or 6 meters because I know I'm going to really like it for other things. It's a lightweight denim. I'm going to keep buying the same denim. It's so lovely. I've actually used my tag for this one, and you can see the binding. They're so pretty. Same binding here on the armholes. Very pretty, understitched. You know, even though it's contrasting, no one's going to know. Super nice serged. I pressed the seams on the sides open, but the princess seams, those are together and pressed towards the center over here, and same as the back. I did the hem by machine. I thought about doing it by hand, but I thought, no, machine hem is okay for denim. Here are my little straps. I put 2 buttons on this one just because they're cute. And I put buttons on the fake welt pockets as well, just because it looks cute. Now I have a skirt, a Tinley skirt, and I use the same buttons that I used on that one. So this is a set. So pretty. I mean, the facings inside are just hanging loose. They just held together. They're just, I didn't top stitch the facings down, so you can see in there, but the buttonholes and the buttons are going to keep it in place. And plus, it's a nice structured fabric. You know, remember I interfaced these sections with the stay tape, so it's super firm. Same as this area of the neckline on the inside. My facing is fully interfaced. So I'm really, really happy with the structure of this and the fit. It's all the same size as the other version. It's just that this one's unlined, simplified, and it's gorgeous. Let's see this one on styled a few ways. This is my second Opus Vest in a really nice denim. It's a lightweight denim. I've paired it with my Tinley skirt. They're a set. They're the same fabric. I even use the same buttons. I've used the same size as the other one, large. Proportional. I really love this. This is an unlined version, but you would never know. And I love this set so much. It's so cute. You're going to see this denim Opus Vest styled so many ways. I mean, it's just so good. It's going to work 1,000 ways in my wardrobe, and I'm so happy with it. Check out the buttons. So nice. They match the buttons on the skirt. That was intentional. My fake welt pocket has an extra button just for decoration there. Remember, it's a fake one. And at the back and the straps, I have 2 buttons. So pretty. It's a V neckline. I have the facing on the inside. This is unlined, so my armholes are finished with beautiful tape I made from one of my husband's shirts. Really enjoyed the fitting process. I knew that the end was going to be amazing. The princess seam curve is where it's supposed to be to match my body, the waist. All the shaping here is very nice, and you just need a few tweaks. The effort that went into the fitting, which wasn't that much, is totally worth it because the results are amazing. I know denim's supposed to be a fabric that you use more casually, but I try to dress it up a little by avoiding contrasting top stitching. I keep any top stitching navy, and just depends on the style that you make. You can definitely have an outfit made out of denim that looks a little dressier and not too casual. Well, this is casual, but it's not that casual, you know? Check out my Opus Vest with these 100% linen pants. This linen is really heavy. It's a sort of cropped style, so I think it looks great with sneakers, super casual. That's all I need, you know, the vest is so cool. Of course, the denim was gonna work with these pants. How cute is my vest with these little flare type shorts? Super casual sneakers. The shorts are pretty short, so to tone it down, sneakers is the way. I would never wear heels with shorts so short. Turquoise in the swim fabric here goes really well with the denim. I love this. And I've got a little bag to match, of course. This time I've got it open over a super pretty dress in rayon with a really nice neckline detail. But the neckline itself is really simple. There's no collars, plackets, nothing like that on the dress. So the vest over the top is not too much. The dress has blue tones and I love it. It's so pretty. Because I've got it open here, you can see my facings and the binding I've done around there. So pretty. Perfect little layer under this dress. This dress has only straps. So if I want to go to a place where I need my shoulders covered, this little vest is not going to make me hot. But it will cover my shoulders because this is a camise style dress underneath. I love the Opus over one of my caprice skirts. This is a longer skirt with gathering details and a button placket that I added. Flowy rayon with a beautiful blue print. To bring some happiness to the look, I've chosen pink on my feet and on my bag. And for those who say that matching your shoes and your bag is out and is trying too hard, all I'm gonna say is I don't care, I don't subscribe to that. I love matching my shoes and my bags when I can. I would keep it at that, just the shoes and the bag. All the rest would be different and I think this looks super cute. I love my versions, full on, fully lined, all the techniques as per the tutorial. Simplified version, just as nice. I think denim is a great fabric to use unlined. I think linen would be okay as well, 100% linen. This is a linen rayon blend, a little softer, so I thought it's okay, it's not too heavy, you know, the lining looks amazing. So whatever you want to do, it'll still work, and I love these two. I'm just bummed I couldn't make any more, but let's see if I can get some done before the sale is over. I have visions of sets that I would love to have. I would love to experiment making one with a Ponte Roma, which is a structured knit fabric. I don't think I would have to change the fit at all for it. I would probably keep the sewing techniques the same, and it would be super cool to have a really cute skirt with a really cute vest in a Ponte Roma. That would be amazing. So out of all the knit fabrics that we have out there, I think the only one I would consider is a nice Ponte Roma. All the rest, too floppy, too stretchy. I wouldn't make a vest out of other knit fabrics. I know this is a pattern I want to make 10 times because it's so pretty. It doesn't use up too much fabric. I've already gone through the fitting process, so give it a go. Super cute. The invite's on sale through Monday the 3rd of November. That's all from me. You're going to see me again before this week is over. See you then and happy sewing. Bye.